Hi, my name's Kat, and in this video Reddit has been asked, people who have died or had a near-death experience, how did it affect your views on religion or an afterlife? I was in an aeroplane that was going down. I went through the mental stages of dying, said a prayer, didn't help. At the end I felt peace and acceptance and a very calm. Then the controls unlocked, and we just managed to pull out. I don't fear death after that. I think I would die from fear if that happened to me. Turbulence alone gives me terrible, terrible anxiety. Also, I have a 4-hour flight tomorrow. I was hit by a car, and I remember my memories flashing all in an instant, and then everything went white. That emptiness of white scares me. Religion, not so much. An afterlife, not at all. What they did was affect my views on living. Beforehand, I was driven to succeed in every aspect of my life, terrified of failure, or rather criticism of not overachieving. Afterward, I realised that simply doing what was enough. I went on adventures, tried different careers, and romanticised everything I could. Sunsets, happy dogs, good wine, beautiful women, big fish, great trucks. I got married and had kids, and wondered at their wanderings. Lots of grandkids now, and looking forward to watching them have their own adventures. Edit. Hokey smokes. I'm just beginning to grasp the reality of all your kind comments. Double platinum? Jeez, very humbling. Somebody let me know who I can donate this to, or a cause. Not sure how this works, and as far as the comments go, I am specific time zone, just at my desk, but I will try get back to all the responses as soon as I can. Bless you all. I didn't almost die. I just survived childhood cancer, so my life was threatened, but I can confirm, this guy knows what it's about. Life is not about living to work, it's working to live. They say that living in the past is depression and living in the future is anxiety. After I got my traumas behind me, I felt like everything got out of my way. And I could just work toward happiness straight through. It's wonderful and terrifying all at the same time, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else. The night my dad died, I had an incredibly vivid dream. We weren't close, but I had flown out to see him one last time. And the day after I arrived, he died. That night I had a dream that I was sitting on some ancient path. Think about how ancient Greece is often depicted. It was bright, the grass was lush and green, there were birds, and I was wearing some sort of white robe. I was sitting and looking down at something in my hands when my dad walked by. He looked strong and healthy and was also wearing a white robe. He walked a few feet past me, then suddenly stopped in his tracks, turned around and said, "What are you doing here?" I was in disbelief, just utterly in shock. I don't remember that I said anything, but I remember how I felt, even though I wasn't close to him. I felt peace. There was calm. He hugged me and it felt so real. Then before he left, he simply said, "It was really good to see you." And then I woke up. I haven't had a dream like that ever since. Edit. What? Silver? Thanks, stranger. I'm reading through all your comments about similar experiences or dreams. I'm so sorry for your loss, everyone. Died from a heart problem 4 years ago. Gone for over 5 minutes. Defibrillator installed. When leaving the hospital a week later, the nurse asked what I experienced. I told her nothing. She said that's the answer she always gets. Is she waiting for a discrepancy? I may be a little late for someone to see this, but here it goes. I was 18 years old when I had a major chest surgery due to an incident I had whilst being in the army. I woke after surgery only to realise I was not actually awake. I woke up to utter darkness. I could hear the voices around me talking about me praying I was going to get better. But the voices got quieter and the darkness diminished. A light started to appear. The light was no ordinary hospital light, lamp, the sun, or anything like that. The light was so bright, yet I couldn't look away. I felt it was getting closer and closer, and then I heard a voice. It was my mother's. She was talking about me, talking about how I was crying. Then I felt it. The light was right there. If I would have stuck my hand out, I could have touched it. I could feel myself sobbing over what I was seeing, but I was unable to do anything. After a couple of minutes staring into the light, I finally found the courage to reach out to it. But when I went to grab it, I found myself waking up in my hospital bed with everyone's eyes focused on me. Now I'm not a religious man by any means, so I have considered the option of my dream happening due to anaesthetic, but this did not feel like a dream, it felt too real. I still see the darkness to this day. I'm not sure how applicable losing consciousness is for minutes at a time, but I have had several seizures in my life, and in my case, I stopped breathing because I'm too busy convulsing. In every case, I see a ring of light around the peripherals of my vision and black in the centre. All I feel is being literally nothing in the vastness of my mind, like infinitely small points in all of my being. Seeing nothing makes it hard to believe there's something more to existence than life and death, or that there is something beyond death. I would say this is pretty much the feeling I had while suffocating. You go from, oh, I can't breathe, to poop, I'm gonna die, panic, in about 15 seconds. And as you pass out, you feel no pain whilst you drop to the floor. The panic goes straight to your sight, the ring of light, like the other poster said. But my hearing, I can hear the person helping me, saying, don't go, open your eyes, stay with me, stay with me. In my head, I'm thinking, let me sleep now over and over, but I can't speak. No pain, no sensations, a feeling of overwhelming peace. I'm no longer afraid to die. It just affects the live ones you leave. I'm 57. This experience helped me. After 6 months after this event, I had open heart surgery that I had to put off repeatedly, as I was previously so scared to have it done. I was pretty dead after a car accident. Back when you could ride in the back of pickup trucks, we were T-boned in an intersection. And I went into the tunnel of light. Chose to come back because I was given a choice. I missed my family and friends, and my cats, so I came back. I remember the tunnel being a white gold colour, very warm, friendly, inviting. When I woke up in the street, I was bloody and cold and in shock, but I knew what had happened a moment before. Chalk it up to extreme blood loss or dopamine release or what have you, but I know what I saw. What I got from it was that our perception of life is much like a radio that is broadcasting one frequency so you can hear, but actually broadcasting all the frequency all the time, but we choose to only tune in one. There is so much more to life and death than what we are told to believe. Be good to one another and yourself. It matters in the end. Tried to kill myself when I was 20 by overdosing on pills. Everything just went black. I was raised Southern Baptist, but since then have gone agnostic, and I'm terrified that there is an actual internal afterlife. I get panic attacks thinking about afterlife that stretches on and on and on. Just thinking about it makes my gut clench and yearn for nothing more than just that peaceful nothing when my time comes. Died for 6 minutes. All I remember is floating in black, still an atheist. If there's nothing after this life, wouldn't you not be able to remember anything? Non-existence is not floating in a void. About 13 years ago, I fell into a retention pond in the middle of winter. I was wearing a down coat and despite being a good swimmer, had a very hard time getting out. In fact, I barely made it back out. I got my upper torso out the water and fell on the shore. From there until waking up in the ambulance to the EMT saying they didn't have a pulse, I don't remember. I do remember though, whilst I was out I saw a bright white mixed with memories of my uncle who had died several years earlier. At this point in my life I was searching for a religion and was a pretty crappy person. After I regained consciousness and yelled, "I'm alive!" I reflected upon my life choices for several weeks. I kept going back to the experience of near death. When I arrived at the hospital that day, my body temperature was around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It took about 5 hours to get my temperature up to normal, and the doctors were surprised I was still alive. Thinking about that, and what I saw made me realise that it doesn't matter what religion I choose, I need to be a better person. It took a few years for the self-reflection and inner thoughts to take effect, but I ultimately decided upon a philosophy of living instead of a religion. I chose Taoism as a basis for my philosophy of life. A few years later, around 7 or 8 years ago, I started seeing everything around me as a basis for what others might call God. I pray, but usually to nature or the sun, depending upon the circumstances. For me, everything is connected in some way, and it is through nature I have life. Life I should be thankful for. Afterlife is complicated for me still. I basically believe a large number of things can happen after we pass and leave our physical body. However, I am adamant that in some way our spirit remains. Whether imprinted upon the land, or in people's hearts, or both. Our body goes back to the earth, but our inner being, our true energy, our spirit remains, to give back in ways we can. Was about 4 feet in front of a rocket that flew in over my head in Afghanistan. Somehow, I only took minor shrapnel damage. I wasn't religious before it happened, and I'm not religious now. I did, however, decide to get back with my then girlfriend, and we have been married now for 7 years. Thank God for that rocket. My heart stopped for 4 minutes. OD'd on my friend's couch after a bad round of pills. Honestly, felt like I was swimming in a warm ocean. No omens, nobody else there. I'm thankful that I was brought back, but I don't think it's changed my views at all. I drowned, but was rescued and revived. At that last moment, when I couldn't hold my breath for any longer, and knew without a doubt I was going to die, I was overcome by a feeling of peace. I don't want to die, but I know that when it's time, I won't be afraid. Going through and reading all them near-death experiences, and how the majority of them experiences, they each said that they had this overwhelming feeling of peace, has now actually made me realise that I shouldn't be scared of death. Death is going to happen to us all. Why should we be worried and fear for it when it's bound to happen at any point of our lives? So it was quite nice to go through all them comments and now not have that fear of death. If it's an overwhelming of peace, that's fine. Obviously, I don't want to die, but if that's just what it is, like the person just before said, I'm not going to fear it no more. But I'm intrigued, have any of you had any near-death experiences? If so, comment down below. I would love to hear some more. Anyway, this video is sponsored by me. Sweet Mouthful Mixes brings pick and mix sweets straight to your door. Choose up to 10 scoops of your favourite sweets, or pick a pre-packed bag. Sweet Mouthful Mixes has a 5-star hygiene rating and full PPE is worn whilst making the bags. With over 50 sweets to choose from, you're guaranteed to find something you like. Treat yourself, you've earned it. Get 20% off with code REDDIT.